This is episode 8 of Get Out of Your Shell podcast. In this episode, I spoke with Megan Sabrinsky. She has dedicated her energy and love to the education of children. At this moment, she teaches in Chicago, Illinois. I admire her dedication and energy to be able to deal with different attitudes and styles and upbringing of children. Megan is a person to admire because even though she's very young, she's wise and brilliant. And she has the ability to help children that come through her door daily. We cover a little bit about COVID and what measures she's taking or they're taking in school. She also talked a little bit about what she sees in the future, her future. And I'm very proud of the way her parents took care of her and the education and values that they gave her because she uses that today to teach and she applies it in her life and the education of the children that she sees every year. It was very special to talk to her or to talk to a teacher. We forget that our children are with them most of the hours of the day. They deserve all the respect and attention. Thank you, Megan, for your precious time. Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Nati.
Good. So, Megan, I am so grateful to be able to talk to you today about this very important subject. And before I dive into the questions, I would like for you to tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Megan Sabrinsky. I live in Chicago right now. I actually live in a suburb of Chicago. And I know you, Nati, from living in Houston for 10 years. So during my 20s, when I first started teaching, I taught in Houston for 10 years. And now I have, twins, a boy and a girl, and we moved back to be close to my family. So I am here in the Chicago area, and my kids are in school. They're in third grade, and I teach in the city in Chicago, and my kids go to school out here in the suburbs. But yeah, I mean, that's all about me.
That's good. So you said you teach what grade?
I have taught several grades. When I was in Houston, I taught fourth grade and second grade mostly. Now being back here, I've been in first grade for 5 years now.
Okay, so you're teaching the first graders right now. Okay, good. A lot of work, Megan. That's a lot of work.
A lot of work, yes. I mean, even in person before the pandemic, teaching is a lot of work. It's a lot of preparation, and you give a lot of yourself to your students and to the parents, and you try to be available and help as much as you can. And then, the pandemic hit, and everyone in teaching kind of had to do a complete turnaround and adjust how we were teaching and still support people through everything as best we could. So it's been a lot. Yeah, it's definitely been a lot.
So COVID changed the world completely for everybody. Now, the way we used to do things, we don't do them like that anymore, many of them, right? Especially in the school area where it even at work, everything just turned around and completely changed. Let me start by asking you, what are two major things that COVID changed in the school system?
I mean, obviously the technology piece for sure. I think it exposed a lot of the the differences between, like suburban schools or schools in the city. My school in particular is in the city, and we serve pretty much 95 to 98% free and reduced lunch students. So it definitely has been a different experience for me teaching my students than my own children have had. So technology, just making sure that technology was available to our families. Something easy for my kids to log on and get on to their classes wasn't a big deal, but some of my families didn't even have internet, or couldn't get internet because maybe bills hadn't been paid before, but they really needed access to be able to take their classes. So I think for sure just the technology piece, but then making sure that beyond just devices, having, laptops and things like that, making sure people are connected at their house, and being able to access all the things that that they need to access to be able to be successful. And then, as we're transitioning back into the schools, our our day just looks very different, but we have, smaller class sizes. I have some kids in person and I have some kids online, so that's been a huge change. Just the way in which I deliver my instruction has very much changed, but I hope for the future we don't have such large class sizes. Like I used to have 30 kids in my classroom.
Mm.
Now I have at the max 15. So when I can focus on the kids that are in person, it is really nice to have a smaller group.
Better, isn't it? To be able to control and to teach and to be able to focus on the children much better, of course, smaller.
Yeah.
Um, you were talking about having to switch with the Zoom system or the online system and technology. And I know for parents, I don't have small children anymore, but even it's hard for me right now when we're trying to log into Zoom. I'm like, where do I go, Megan? What do I do? You're like, duh, 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 duh. And of course you're a teacher, but you also learn as well. And it's been difficult for me. I can imagine the parents. It's a little bit of frustrating as well, but we're getting there. We got to advance with the technology. Things change, and we got to adapt to it because we got to keep moving. The
Yeah.
stopping doesn't work. We got to keep
No.
going and going, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Megan, so I know your work life changed. What about your life? Did a lot of things change? Did it make it better? Did it make it worse? Tell us about you.
Yeah, personally for me, it's been kind of interesting because I drive so far to get to my job. The break in not having to travel that far. I mean, I drive an hour into the city every morning, and then I would drive an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes home every evening. And that was very time consuming and just very draining. So to have some of that time back and being able to spend that time with my family has been very nice and a huge blessing. And there's been some good changes. Like we used to go to four o'clock at my school, and that's very long, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've changed our day, and so now we end at 2 because we're wearing masks all day long. So that has been really nice. Just I think for everyone, for my students, they're not as tired. For me, I'm not as tired at the end of the day. It's just made me prioritize like when I'm going to do different things. Like normally we were on such a routine and such a schedule that it's allowed a little bit more flexibility. Edgar's home, so it's been, there have been some really positive things that have come of it. Time for me, for the travel has been huge. I've gained back a lot of that time.
It is very important. Coming back to the school system, to the school process we're talking about, what precautions is the school taking around COVID? Now that the schools opened, some children are back, and you're saying some of them are online. What precautions is the school taking?
Um, Tons. So I can speak to like Edgar and Evelyn's school here in the suburbs, and then my school, just masks all day long. The social distancing, they were really big about it at the beginning of the year. Now that the guidelines have changed with the CDC, I think there's a little bit more ease, but the desks have to be separated. I know my particular school has purchased like desk shields, so my kids have a plastic desk shield in front of them. Not all schools have done that. My school did purchase those, which was really nice. It's really more of just the schedule, and also making sure we've minimized the amount of people that come in and out of the classrooms. So my students don't leave my classroom during the day. They have like the art teacher comes in, or the music teacher will come in and teach the lesson. We're not really walking in the hallways. we're really minimizing the amount of back and forth between the students.
Mm.
And then, of course, the amount of money that it's cost. I know I can speak to my school, just the amount of money it's cost to buy PPE has been a lot. And I know that our dean of students has been prioritizing the purchasing of that since way back in June. We were stocking up to make sure we could make it through the school year. And I'm sure that Edgar and Evelyn School has done the same, and they've done a fabulous job of it as well.
Yeah. Megan, the having classes through Zoom and also going to the school, you're saying used to have 30, now 15. I know, and not to hit on any parents, but sometimes parents think that the teacher is the mother and the father, and they send them to school so in the school they can be taught things that we should be teaching at home. And I know a part of your job, of course, educating the children and giving them advice and education around things that they're going to need for their life, but also how important it is for the parent to get involved.
I would say that my most successful students are the students that have both me and their parents kind of working together. And they are the ones that are supporting me behind the scenes, and I support them behind the scenes. And those are my kids that in the classroom seem to do the best. They're always, they come to school, they have good attendance, they show up for their online classes. For the most part, they get their work done. I would say that just academically and socially and just in general, those are the students that seem to excel the most, are the ones that have both people working together. I take care of the academics or supporting with extra resources, but the parents really help get them to class, get them there on time with everything that they need. Yeah.
So you believe that parents should be more involved with the children's education. Do you see a lot of parents not involved and they just don't care at some point?
Oh, sure. There are always a handful of kind of all extremes. But yes, I, of course, have some parents that maybe don't know how to be involved, or
How can we be?
like you said, maybe think that I can take care of all of the instruction. But some of my parents are absolutely amazing. And I have 30 students. So when we are all together on the Zoom, I have probably 18 to 19 kids that have parents that are sitting there during the lessons, like keeping on them, or I can hear them in the background, or they'll message me on my phone, like during class, and I'll get it after, just asking a question. Can I get back to them? We communicate often. And those parents are phenomenal.
Yes. And I interrupted you. I'm sorry and say
Oh, you're okay.
more involved. Well, yes, of course, being there for them. I know many parents work, but and many are at home, and they are the ones that are helping them and pushing them to be successful in their school. And the ones that work, what advice do you give them to help the children to move forward and to be successful in the school?
Find and create a support system for yourself. Not all of my students are at home during the day. Some of them have gone to daycare or the YMCA, and they've kept a very minimal amount of kids there. So I would say find a support system that you know can help you, and then try your best to plan ahead. And I say that from like a teaching perspective, but also as a parent. I know, thinking back for me, back in, let's say, June of last year, when school was out for the summer, but I knew we were transitioning into the school year, I was already thinking in my head about, okay, well, if I have to go back to work all 5 days and my kids have to be teaching or learning from home, I was already getting my gears going of like, how is that going to work? What is that going to look like? What do I need to do to make sure that my own kids are supported if I'm not there? So just trying to plan and think ahead, and making sure that you have the support system, or you have found someone to help you with that.
Very important to plan, definitely. Megan, what do you see? What would you like to see in the future in the school system? Something that can be better for the school. What do you think?
I think for me in particular at my school, we have lots of people on staff, but it's always comes down to finding the right people in the right places. And I can I know that Edgar and Evelyn School, they do such a nice job of really making sure they have the correct people in the correct positions. So for example, reading specialists on staff to make sure that those teachers can then support the gen ed teachers, speech pathologists on staff. Like, it's really not throwing money at schools. It's making sure that you have the right people in the schools to support those kids and support the parents and the teachers. So I hope that, you know, our school system can adapt and be able to have those people in place.
It is very important. You mentioned something that extremely important, to have the right people in the right place. You know, coming back to the regular world, a salesperson in the sales area, in the sales department, the greeter, the smiley person, the happy person greeting the customers walking in. So yeah, you're right. The right person in the right department is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
What vision do you have for you? What do you want to do in the future? You're very young. You look
I
beautiful.
am.
You give me tips of your face looks so beautiful.
Thank you.
What do you look for your future? What is your vision?
You know, I always say I want to start my own school. I'm very passionate about working in lower income areas where I feel like I can be the most helpful. And I also just feel like it would be really cool if I could take the things that I've learned and start a school somewhere, but start really small. Really like start with maybe a small group of kids and then build up from there so that you can put the right people in the right places and you can really work with and help parents. I think that would be like a huge thing that I would eventually like to do.
You know, you're saying that and it gives me tears in my eyes, because so important for you, the children. You know, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. If this goes anywhere, you know, I would like to support you at one point. I need to have the money, of course.
I need to find donors and benefactors that believe in me and figure it out. But I also have to, if I ever wanted to do something like that, it would be really planning ahead and putting those things in place like I was talking about before. And at this point, I'm not quite there yet. I just have this idea. But hopefully maybe one
the
day.
idea will get you there. I promise.
Yeah.
You. Be your supporter with money.
That's what I need. Thank you.
Yes. So Megan, so being having said what you just said about the importance and how much you care, why is it for you so important, the helping the children? Why middle class children? Why?
I grew up very, very privileged, and I grew up with two parents in my house. I grew up with anything I ever could have asked for. I never really knew that we had whatever. I just, now that I've grown up, I realize like how much we had, and I think it's just important to give back, but also to like be able to take what I know and just help other people along the way. You know, that's all. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, I just feel like I grew up very privileged and I want to give back in some way. It's not an easy job, but it is fun and it's very fulfilling. I often think about, well, maybe I should just go into something else, do a different career. And then I'm like, well, I imagine myself in that position and I'm like, that wouldn't work. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah,
so.
It's very important to do what you're passionate about, because that's how we are going to be successful. And you're so passionate about teaching and about children, and that's your work. That's your calling, in other words. And for me also, teaching and educating the community out there of what we have in the areas of like last time I was interviewing a dentist, and the importance about the health of the mouth. Recently, I interviewed a business owner, huge business owner. Started very small, it just became so big, and now you a teacher of a school, because I love to educate people about what's out there and how also we can help you and being the whole community, because we want to do better in this world. We sure do. And I'm in Houston, you're in Chicago, and I am so thankful that you were able to join and to
Of course.
questions. It's something small, but something big. It's very big.
Mhm.
Do you have anything that you would like to close this program for the people that are viewing you and listening to you?
Oh, I don't know. Just support your teachers, find out what they need, and figure out how to. If you're a parent of a school age child, just really try to make that partnership with your teachers, and that will be probably the very best thing you could do for your kids, because
Thank
they're
you.
our future, and we have to make sure um, we're kind of molding them in a good way and making sure that they're growing up to be good citizens and productive citizens and have the best opportunities out there. So partner with your teachers.
That is so true. They are our future.
Yeah.
And we're very thankful to the teachers and the work that you guys do because it's phenomenal. I couldn't do it. There's no way. But I could do this. But Megan, thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome.
God bless you. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Nancy, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.